All right. Well, good afternoon once again, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Bobby Haggard, and I'm one of the consultants here at Trendsoft. I've been with Trendsoft nearly 5 years, and I've spent over 15 years working with and on different ERP solutions. And one of the things that I've found to be consistent between any and all ERP solutions that I've worked on is the ability and the need to access and manipulate data that's collected within those systems. And that's exactly why our team created this webinar series. So on our call today, we will show you how to be a data hero with Power BI, how you can become the Office All-Star with creating reports, visuals, dashboards that will impress management and coworkers alike. So a little bit of housekeeping here before we jump in. First, we went ahead and muted all of the phones, trying to keep down some of that background noise. If you have a question, which we absolutely encourage, then please use the Q&A feature of the Zoom webinar tool. We have a couple of our coworkers who are managing that Q&A session. Please drop any questions into there. If your question is more specific to you and your data or the report that you're building, we may look to follow up with you after the webinar, but absolutely please go ahead and drop those questions in. Secondly, if you would like a copy of the presentation slides or the video recording once it's available, just drop your email into the Q&A. We'll know what that means. We'll know that that means that you want a copy of the slides and the video, and we'll be sure to get that sent to you as well. So again, just hit up that Q&A for questions or drop in your email, and we'll be sure and get that sent your way. All right, let's jump right in here. First, just want to introduce Matt Wood and Chelsea Mack, who are on our webinar with us today. Matt Wood has been with our Trendsoft team nearly a decade and is our Dynamics team lead and lead project manager over both Business Central, NAV, and the GP teams. Chelsea Mack has been with us about 6 years and is one of our senior consultants on the Dynamics team, focusing on Business Central and the NAV product as well. So as I mentioned, this is a webinar mini-series all about Power BI. And looking at the registration list, we see several returning attendees and wanted to welcome you back, each of you. However, if you did miss the initial webinar session around preparing that data and using Power Query, please visit our website, trendsoft.com, to find that webinar recording, or you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube where we have that video posted as well. Obviously, you're on our webinar today, which is the second in the series, and our team will again be showing you all about building reports, adding measures, filters, visualizations, and things like that. Finally, go ahead and mark your calendars now for the third webinar in our series, where we will cover how to publish and share these reports with your coworkers. That webinar is scheduled for Tuesday, April 13th at 2 p.m. Again, at the conclusion of the webinar, please visit our website, trendsoft.com, look at that previous recording if you missed it, and then hit up the webinar for the 13th of April. All right, real quick, just want to jump in a few slides here on who we are as Trendsoft and what we do, as we do recognize there's a couple of newer people on this webinar, so we want to just give you a quick snapshot of who we are. So we were founded in 1996. Since that time, we've achieved the highest level of Microsoft certifications available by being recognized as a gold certified Microsoft ERP partner. And our team was also recently recognized by Accounting Today as one of the top 100 VARs, or value-added resellers, in the community. So that's a great honor that we are excited to share with people. Over the last 2 decades, we've done well over 100 ERP installations for multiple organizations with offices throughout the world. And we have about 200 active clients in roughly 17 or 18 states. And we are experts in Microsoft's business platform, and we do all things related to ERP installations, project management, upgrades, customizations, help desk support, and much, much more. In addition, we have some clients who are Power BI only clients with us, meaning we support their reporting needs. We help write reports, visualizations, and other partners take care of their ERP system or whatever product that they're on. Additionally, we have also developed a document management software called Trendocs that can help to handle all of your accounts payable automation needs, document workflow, image capture, scanning, storage, and much, much more. All right, so that was just a quick overview who we are as Trendsoft, what we do. Let's jump in now to our webinar series, look at a live demo here. I'm going to be handing things over to Matt and Chelsea, who's going to lead us through generating those Power BI reports, filtering, and charting. Matt, Chelsea, take it away.
All right, thanks, Bobby. Yep, so as Bobby said, I'm Matt Wood. I'm the Dynamics team lead here. Over the Dynamics team, Chelsea is a consultant. She is going to drive. I'm going to narrate as we go through here. So the clicks will be done by Chelsea, but it is my voice you are hearing. So Chelsea is sharing now. If everybody, Bobby, are you able to see that? Just make sure.
I'm seeing it.
Okay, good. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is, as Bobby said, we had our first session. We'll do a quick little review on that, but for the most part, we're going to be building the actual report today. So let's just do a quick review. We're going to actually open up our Power Query real fast. We're going to go up to the transform data, and we're going to go just take a look, just to remind everybody what we did last time, and we might have some new folks as well. So if you remember last time, we took data from our ERP system, and we used Excel actually to do it, but we took this out of an ERP. And we are bringing in sales data. And if you remember last time, we had a commissions table, a couple of sales tables, salesperson, and then some payment terms. And we cleaned that data up to get it ready for this webinar, where we're going to actually build the report. So we're not going to get a lot into the Power Query anymore. We just want to remind everybody that is what we did last time. And we've really taken care of the hardest part at this point. Getting the data prepped, knowing where that data is and getting it out, that's the hardest part of this. You're going to see when we actually go in here to build these reports, it's a pretty simple process if you've got the data correct. All right, so we'll close this down and we're going to move into our Power BI desktop. So this is where we're going to actually do the building. So I'll just give you a quick overview of this, and then we'll also going to take a look at another tool that's a web-based tool as well. So as we're looking at this, we'll just kind of go through the different sections so you know what you're looking at if you're not familiar. We have the home section up at the top that is in the ribbon. So if you're familiar with your other Microsoft Office tools, Excel, Word, whatnot, it's the same thing. We've got the ribbon at the top, and under each of those categories, we're going to have different things we can do. So we've got a home, we've got an insert where we can insert certain things, some modeling where we're going to do relationships and measures. We can change the theme of the report. We can add slicers, whatever, filters. And then you've got a help and some external tools as well. As we go down the left side of the screen, we have 3 buttons. So the first one, which is what we're looking at here, is our report. So this is where we're going to build that report and make the magic happen. Over in the data section, so this is just going to be a view to look at the tables. So again, similar to what we saw over in Power Query, but we don't have all the functionality we do in Power Query. This is more just to view it. And then the last one is the model button, and this is where we're going to create the relationships. So when we finished up last time, we were about at this point, so we had the relationships built, and some of those will happen automatically, and it's pretty good about guessing, but sometimes you might have to modify those. So that's our relationships, and let's go back to the report tab. And then we'll come over here to the right side of the screen now. So we have 3 sections over here. We've got our filter section. So as we start to add things to the report, we are going to be able to do filters, and there's multiple filters we can do. You see on the page right here, we have 2. Filter on this page, which means if I set a filter there, anything on the page we're looking at right now, which is blank, but once we get data there, it will filter. We also have filter on all pages, which means as I set filters in that pane, everything that's in this particular workspace will get filtered. And then there'll be a third one as we start to add visualizations, which is going to be filter this visual only. So we can set filters on individual visualizations as well. Next one on the list, that's our visualizations. Everything you see right here is native out of the box that comes with Power BI. So all these different types. We have the ability to click the little 3 dots, and you can see there's a similar like an app store for visuals. We can create our own. We can help you create them. It can get pretty complicated depending on what you're trying to do. There could be some coding involved there, but that is an ability as well. As we kind of go down the page, we can see we've got our values section. So that's where we're going to start dragging fields on. And then we have our format, the little paint roll there, where we can start to do some formatting. And we'll see how that works in a minute. Last section over there is our fields. So again, this should look familiar. These are the tables that we've seen before. And this is where we're going to select the fields that we want to put on our report. Just a quick reminder as we're looking at the fields. So what we have currently that we're going to use to build this, we have a commissions table, a payment terms, sales header, which is going to be the header information of your orders, sales lines, where we're going to actually put what we're selling and the amounts. And then we have a salesperson table to pull in those salespeople. Down at the bottom of the screen, we have tabs. So similar to Excel, we are able to build different kind of reports there. So that's our Power BI desktop. This can be downloaded. If you just Google Power BI desktop, you'll find it, and it will download and install on your machine. You do not need any kind of licensing to use this particular tool. It is free. All right, so the other option is the web-based. So when you go out to just any browser, we've got Chrome here, but Edge will work as well. And you go to app.powerbi.com, it will bring this up. And this is similar to the Power BI desktop, except you don't need to install anything on your machine. But you can see it's a similar program, just going to be a cloud-based. Okay, so we'll minimize that. All right, so I think we're got the housekeeping out of the way, so we're going to actually start building things here. So first thing we wanted to show you is what the finished product's going to look like. So we're going to bring that up. So this is what we're going to end up building with you guys today. And you can see we have two tabs here. We have a dashboard, which this is just dashboard information. Mostly we're just slicing sales information by different things. So we've got it by salesperson, by customer, how much of products are we selling to those people. We have 4 locations, north, south, east, west. How much sales are we getting by each location? We've got a map on there that will show us kind of a heat map of where those sales are happening. And then we have a predictive kind of revenue. So as we look at this, we're going to see we expect to get around 100K in January. So that's that one. And then we've got the item details tab, which is going to be a little more detail oriented. So we're actually now seeing a breakdown of the items we're selling. And then we have a commission report on the right side of that. That's going to show commission. So that's what we're going to build. So we're going to walk you through how we're going to do that. So we're going to go back to our blank canvas here. The first thing we're going to do is we've got this white screen here. We're going to actually add a wallpaper to the back. So we're going to make this a little bit darker on the back end. So we just go with a nice gray background here. Of course, you can make that any color you want. You can leave it white, whatever you want to do there. I kind of like a little bit darker and then kind of have stuff pop out at me when I'm looking at it. All right, so that's the first thing. So now let's start to build our report here. Now these first ones we're going to do are going to be really pretty simple because we've got the data how we need it. We're basically just saying, this is the visual I want, and here's the fields I want to put on that visual. When we get over to the item details, we're going to do a little bit more complicated features. And for the sake of time, we're going to keep this pretty simple. But we can get more complicated as we need. If you have questions on, as you're building stuff that you have questions on, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is the amount by salesperson, and we are going to use a pie chart for that. So we're just clicking over in the visualization. All we did was click there, and it put it right there on our screen. And we know that we need salespeople, and that is set at the header level. So we're going to expand the sales header. We're going to find that salesperson, and we're going to put that into our details section there. So right now, that's just, we don't have anything on there yet. And then we want to know how much are each of these salespeople selling. So we're going to pull the amount from the sales line. So that's going to create our visual. So you can see how simple that was. It's just basically click of 3 buttons and we've got a visual right there built for us. Now, we might want to clean this up a little bit, make it look a little different. So if we hit our format, we can set a gray background just to kind of set that to the same theme that we had going. And we can also turn those labels off. Maybe we don't like the way those labels look, so we can turn those off, and now we just have a simple chart. But we'll leave those on just for the sake here. Now, maybe we don't like the name of the title as well, so we could change that. It's just giving us a title based on the fields we selected, but I could change that to sales by salesperson or something like that as well. Okay, so that is our first one. The next one we're going to throw on there is our total by location. So again, locations at the header level, and we want to do a bar chart here this time. So we're going to put in a bar chart, and you can see it, put it right on top of our other one, but we can just grab it and drag it somewhere else if we need to. All right, so then we will go to our sales header again. We're going to pull in the location code. And then we're going to go down to our sales line and go amount. So we're using that amount field a lot. And you can see we're just using these same tables over and over again to create different ways to view that data. All right, so again, we're going to put a gray background there just to match it. So again, we go to our format and we set that to gray. And now we've got our amount by location. Next one is our amount by customer name. So we're going to, again, do this one by pie chart. So we grab it, throw it in. We're going to grab that customer name from the header. And then we're going to grab the amount again. So it's getting pretty redundant here. We're seeing how, once that data is there, it's just as simple as grabbing the fields we want. And we'll make that gray background as well here. Okay. Next one is the map. So we're going to just go up to our visualizations. You can see that's a choice on here. This one's integrated with Bing, so it's going to use Bing Maps to kind of pull that. And we're going to pull in our information for that. So we're going to pull the state from our sales header. So we have address information for the customers on the header. So we're going to pull state. And then again, we're going to pull amount to create that heat map. And that one we threw into the size section, you'll notice there, because we want to see bigger dots for the more sales we have. And we'll filter that, or we'll format that again and go gray. All right, 2 more to go, and we'll have this dashboard basically built, and then we'll kind of format it how we want. So next one is quantity by customer name. So we want to know how much product are we selling to each individual customer. So we're grabbing that customer name again from the header section. And this time we're not going to use amount, we're going to actually use quantity from our sales line. So we're going to see how much product we're selling to each of those different customers. Make it gray again. And there we go. All right, so 1 more to go, and then we'll get it situated how we want. This one is our more of a kind of our predictive revenue here. Now, so this one, what we're doing is we're basically taking, we've posted these sales orders and we've got invoices out there. And we know based off that payment term that we've added when we expect to get paid by. So we know if it's net 30, we're going to get that in 30 days. So what we're going to do is create a chart here that shows us how much revenue we can expect to receive based off those payment terms. Grab that. We're going to grab posting date from our sales order. The reason we're grabbing posting date in this case is we want to know when was this posted, because that's when the payment terms would start to kick in. So we're going to, now notice when we did that posting date, it's a date field. It gives us lots of options to do dates on: year, quarter, month, day. The one we care about in this case is the month. So we're going to delete the rest and just leave month and pull that in. Next, we will pull amount into our value section. And this right here would give us just a view of, here's how much revenue we would expect to receive based on those payment terms. But we also may want to see it broken down by the payment terms. So we're going to pull that and make that our legend. So we get a little bit different color coding based on that. So now we know of that January money, we've got a lot coming on cash on delivery. So we're going to expect that pretty soon. All right. We will turn on the gray background, and we may add some labels here just to give us a little bit more data. And notice we got a little error there. We just have to come down and switch the way we want that to go. It won't work vertical or horizontal because there's not enough space. So we go vertical, and that way we can fit it in. All right, so we've got it built now, and now it's just a matter of getting the visuals in the right order. So all we're going to do is grab and drag them where we want them. So we're going to just drag, and it's going to have some grid lines that kind of lock it in. You can see those popping up for us. And we get it sized how we want here. And we've got our dashboard pretty much built right now. So if we go back and look at what we showed you before, that took us, I think, about 10 minutes to do. So pretty quick, once we get that data right, we can really start to, push out these reports quickly. So now we'll go back to the one we're building. Now, we can do some things on these. These are interactive. So as we click on certain visuals, the other ones will update as well. So let's click on NJ in our salesperson here. So that's the blue circle. Notice when we click that, the other visuals also update. So they are updating to show you, okay, of the amounts to the customers, here's the piece of the pie that NJ sold. Same thing down on our map. It's going to move based on what we choose. So now let's click a customer over. Let's say School of Fine Art, for example. We're going to unclick in there just to turn that filter off. And now we're going to come over here and click that blue. And now we see it's moving again based off that visual that we've clicked on. Maybe we want to see how much has the north location sold. So we can click again off and then click again on. And that shows us for that north location, that's what we're selling. And all the other visuals will update as we go. All right, so we're keeping it pretty simple. We can get more complicated on filters. We could add slicers, but for the sake of time, we're going to keep this one pretty simple. And now we're going to actually build the next tab, which is that item detail tab. And this one, we're going to have to do a little bit more work, and we'll show you what we're going to do here. So the first two, we're going to make that gray first. But if we go back to our built report, just so we can see what we're trying to get to. So we've got a item list over here, and then we get the amount and the quantity that we've sold. We have a quantity by customer, and then we've got our commission report. The first two we're going to be pretty simple. The commission report, we're going to have to do a little bit of work on. All right, so we'll pop back over. All right, so let's start with our items. So we're going to use the sales line to get the item number. You can see we're just pulling that number field. In this particular ERP, they call that number. So we're grabbing that. We're also grabbing the quantity from the lines, and then we're adding the amount. So pretty simple, just a table visual that we can now see all our items listed and how we're doing it. Now we can also sort. So if we wanted to see, what's our top selling item, we could click on amount. And we'd see, okay, we're selling 1896-S is our top selling item. All right, so that's our list. Now we're going to add our filter or our formatting to this. We're going to put that gray again, just to keep it consistent. And then we'll add in our bar chart. So we click that bar chart visual, pops it right in for us. We're going to grab customer name. We've already actually built this one once. And then we're going to add quantity as well. So we can see for each individual customer, how much are we selling? Now, one thing we could have done there is we could have just gone to the dashboard and copied that visual straight over. That's something else you can do. So if you're using the same visual on multiple, you can just copy and paste rather than recreating them, especially when you start getting into a little more advanced ones where you don't want to have to remember how exactly did I set it up. All right, so format, we're going to background it gray again. And we've got our quantity by customer. Okay, now a little bit more advanced one here on our commission. So we're going to actually have to add some fields for this one. So let's take a look at the data first so we can just see where we're going. We'll start at our commission table first here. So we can see we've got our salesperson, we've got their name, their email, we've got the months, and then the percentage they get for those months. We did a little bit of prep for this. We did go ahead and add a column there that basically gave us a unique value, which all it is the salesperson code and the month. So we know we've got, it's basically concatenate in Excel. We're using a little bit different format here, combine values, but what we're doing is creating a unique value there. And we're going to need that because we got to relate this to another table. So now we'll look at the sales header table. And in this table, originally, when we look at this and we kind of just look through the data, we do not have an amount field at the header level. We only have it at the line level. So what we want to do is actually add a column for this so that we can see the total amount for each sales header, what the total sales were, because we could potentially have, 10 lines on a sales order and then we need to total that for the commission. All right, so what Chelsea's doing right now is she's using a formula up there. So it's a formula bar, just like you see in Excel. This does use a language called DAX. So we may do something later on where we go through some DAX formulas, the ones that we use the most. But for today, we're going to keep it pretty simplistic. We're using a sum here. And you notice what she did there. We'll let her pause here once she gets it done and we'll talk through it. So what she's done is she's going to calculate, and then we're summing the sales line table by the amount field. So all we're doing is saying, go get all my sales line for this particular sales order, sum them up, and give me a new column. And that shows me that total over there on the right. And you can see that has been added now to our data set. We could have done that in Power Query as well, but we wanted to show you too, you can do these right here out in the Power BI desktop as well. So there's our total for sales line amount. Now, that's going to give us our total, but now we need to know, okay, for that total, how much commission is that for that particular line? So what we're going to do here is add a column here. And we're using a SumX here. So SumX is just a little bit different than the sum. It's going to actually look at the individual lines and try to do the summing for us. So we're again going to the sales header and we're grabbing that new field we just created. So that's the sales header total. And we're going to pull that in. Now, when we do this, you're going to notice those numbers do not look correct to us. They're all the same. 932,373.8 for every single month for every single salesperson. So that pretty much tells us right there that we've got a problem. The reason is when we do a column to a table, all it's doing is going out and saying, okay, you're telling me to go sum the sales header totals. It's not looking at anything in our commission table to say, filter this down by NJ by this month. So that's not going to work for us. So what we're going to need to do is just delete that column because we don't need it. So we just right click and delete it, and we realize that's not going to work for us. So what we're going to do now is actually add a measure. So what a measure is it gives us the ability to basically take each individual row of the table we're looking at, and we're going to be able to filter those amounts based off that. So we're really basing it off that NJ January column that you're seeing there. So we're doing SumX sales headers, same pretty much thing we just did, except this time it's a measure and it's not a column. All right, so now you'll notice one difference of this is it did not add anything to our table. You know that there's no column there that shows up that's a new column. But if we look to our right, we do have a new field in our field list. So we have sales amount, and you'll see it has a little calculator by it. And that lets us know that that is a measure that we've added. And again, that uses that DAX formula, that DAX language as we're going through it. So something you might want to look into is that DAX language if you're wanting to do Power BI. And of course, we can help with that. And like I said, we may do something down the road where we talk through a little bit more of that DAX language. All right, so I think we've got our data how we need it to do this. Or did I miss something, Joe? Oh yeah, one more column. We're gonna do the commission amount. So now we have the sales amount per sales order, and we have the sales amount per individual salesperson. But now what we need to know is, what is that commission rate for that person? So we're just gonna do an add column here. And now that we have that measure, we are able to use that to create columns. So we're using that sales amount measure we just created, and now we have a commission amount. So what that formula is pretty simple. It's just taking the commission percentage and multiplying it by the sales amount for that individual line. So for NJ January, he gets 3% in January. So we multiply that sales amount times 3% to get the commission amount, 838.66. Now, we're out to 3 decimals on some of those. So we may want to change that out so our formatting looks good. We can do that right in here. We're over in the column tools section. And we're just going up to the formatting section, and we're telling it how many decimals we want it to go out to. So we've got 838.67 now instead of that out to 3 decimals. We'll also click over into the sales header table, and we're going to do the same thing for our sales amount. So you can see some of those only went to 2. We want to display this, or went to 1. We want to display this out to 2. And maybe we want to show whole numbers only. We can all do that right here. We also have the currency there. If we want to just flip that over to a number without the dollar sign, whatever we want to do, we can set that. All right, so we'll flip that back to currency since we are currency. All right, so I think at this point, we've got it in a state that we can use it. So we're going to bring it back out. And what we're going to do now is just create another table. And we're going to select our values for this. So on these tables, all we're doing is putting it in the order that we want. And we're going to grab the data we need. Now we've basically put it all into that commissions table. So that's all we've got to use. So we've just we've drugged all those over and created that table for us. So we can see we've got the name of the salesperson, the month, the commission they get for that month, how much did they sell, and then what was their commission for that month. And we could change that up quickly too, something we didn't show before, but as I click on that table, if we want to see this in a bar chart, for example, we can just select that and change it to a bar chart and see those that way. But we're going to keep this as a table for us in this case. And we've got that. Now, same thing applies to what we did before, which was where we added, as we click on certain values, notice that our other visuals also change. So for Christina here in April, we would want to know, okay, what did Christina sell and who did she sell it to? So we can now see she sold those items. She sold the most of 1896-S, and then who did she sell it to? So she's selling the most to this Adatom Corporation. And we get a nice little view of what's done there. Now, let's say we needed to do a little more analysis on this, and maybe we want to do it out in Excel. What we could do is click down on the 3 dots below, and we can say export data. When we do that, it's going to save it as a CSV. And then we can open that up and see that in Excel as well. I'm going off script here, so I'm taking her off the route. So we just pop that out to Excel, and now we can do whatever we want with it. So rather than having to run something directly from the ERP, for example, we could have that report built in Power BI, and then now just dump it out to Excel if we wanted to do some more analysis. Maybe we want to do pivot table or whatever. We have the ability to just dump that out to Excel and do what we want. And we can do that with any table that we've got inside of Power BI. All right, so now we've built the report, and at this point, we've got it how we want it. But if we wanted to make changes, it's pretty simple. Let's say we want to change that background. We don't like the gray. We could click on there, come to our format. Now, when we're doing the wallpaper, you got to make sure you're not on a visual, because if you are, you'll see that show up. So now we've changed the wallpaper, and we could go to each individual report and change it to that same color as well. So real simple, just to make those changes. You maybe send it to your boss and they say, oh, I don't like gray in the back, I want to see something different. We can do that. The other thing we can do is change the font colors as well. So under each individual section, we can go to the title, the backgrounds, and change those as well. So our font color right there is black, but we can change that to be orange or whatever we want that to show. We actually don't have a title on that one, but we can go to the next one. So there we go. We just added a title up there on top of our table view. We can also, we won't show this here, but just to give you an example, we can also add logos like on the wallpaper. So if you wanted to see, if we wanted to put Trendsoft on the back of this, we could do that as well to make them to make it look a little nicer. Up in the view section, we also have different styles. So if we want to click on those, we can change them and use just the default ones that Power BI has out there for us. And you'll notice those colors are changing. And if we go back to our other tab, it changes those as well and sets them based off that style we pick. Now, we can get more advanced. We can add filters to the whole report. We can add slicers. We can add date filters, all that kind of stuff. But for this example, we're not going to do it. But you can see there, if we just throw in city, if we want to see how are we doing in Lexington, for example, we can click on that and it's going to show us, here's what we did for Lexington. Or we want to see, how did we do in the South? So we picked Atlanta and Miami, for example. Now we see how we're doing in the South. And it makes sense there that our South location is doing well, also our North, which is interesting. Now, let's go back to our item details. Chelsea will show one more thing on filtering. As we're clicking on these, so if I click on 1896S, maybe I have a group of my different items that I want to see. So we didn't add product group or anything like that, but if I know it, I can just hold down Control. And as I click on them, those will update those different visuals and I can see how did we do in that product group, for example. So that's how we do it. Now, when we get into our next section, we will talk about, you'll see up there in the view section, you've got like a mobile layout, a page view. Because at this point, we've built the report, we've got it looking good for us, and we can use it for our individual use, but it's just at this point, almost like just an Excel file. It's just a static file that I can refresh, but I would have to share that file with other people to use it. So Chelsea shows refresh there. If we were to go into the ERP and make changes, this would automatically update based off that real time, no delay. And you can do that as much as you want on a kind of on-demand basis. And we'll talk about next week a little bit, or not next month, a little bit more about, what are the different license types and what does that mean for refreshing automatically, for example. But the next section, where you see that publish button up there, and that's where we're going to start getting into how do I publish this so other people can see it without me having to share a file with them. And if Chelsea goes out, just to give you a little preview, if we go out to where we were on the app.powerbi, she has different workspaces, data sets that are out there. And that's where we can then start publishing things. So that's what we're going to start looking at next week. Like I said, the building of the reports, probably the easiest thing we can do in this whole process. Once you've got the data correct, it's easy to create these visuals. There's not much expertise even needed to do that. You could almost sit down and just do it by clicking around and finding what you need. The publishing gets a little more complicated because we have to start looking at licensing. we have to start to know, where do we want to publish that? Is there security related around that? Sam can see sales data, but he can't see GL data. So if we have multiple things going on in our report, we want to block that down. Or maybe we want to lock it down by department. So that's the kind of things we're going to look at next week. And then we'll show you what those different license types are, who needs a license to publish, who needs a license to view, things like that. All right, Bobby, I don't know, I haven't been paying attention to the questions, so I have not answered anything yet.
Nope, you guys have been doing good. We've gotten some help on some of the answers. There have been several good questions submitted around DAX language, where to find access to that, and we've sent all of those answers back out. If you have a specific question, please again drop that into the Q&A, and we'll be sure to get those answered for you as well. Matt, I'm going to take over real quick here. All right, hopefully you are seeing my screen or about to see my screen here. Just a couple things I wanted to share. Definitely appreciate Matt, Chelsea, you guys' work on walking through. We obviously do have a couple minutes here, but just as we are waiting for questions to come in, just want to talk about next steps with everybody on the webinar. So again, as Matt mentioned, there is a third webinar in this session. It's actually in 2 weeks on the 13th, where it's all about what Matt said, publishing, sharing reports, and that type of information. So again, please hit up our website, trendsoft.com, go to that events page and register for that webinar in the future. As well, if you have specific questions, specific work that's needed around Power BI support, or any other questions around Dynamics, please hit us up on our email, on our website, or give us a call, and we'll definitely be sure to have those conversations with you. Matt, there is one question out here asking, what is a drill through? I'm not sure if that's a specific question related to Power BI or what you showed today.
Yeah, so I think specifically on that, I believe what he's asking is, you can start to drill down into that detail. So you start to see that that detail behind it. So I can drill in. I think there's even the ability to drill into additional places besides the Power BI if you would like to do that with a little bit of dev work on that side. So I don't know if I'll specifically answer that correctly, but you are have the ability to start at one report and then kind of drill through the rest, just get down to the detail. So if I wanted to start as a salesperson and drill down to see, okay, now what's their individual orders that make that up, and then drill on that order and see the detail behind that, I do have that ability if I've got my data set correctly.
Perfect, thanks. Yeah, and if that didn't exactly answer your question, we can absolutely take that offline and follow up with you. Here is as well my email, my phone number. If you have specific questions about this webinar or about Power BI, we can definitely get you in contact with Matt, Chelsea, Nicholas, and the team to help get those answered and talk to you guys about what's next. So again, if you have any other questions, we have a few more minutes here. Please go ahead and shoot that into the Q&A. Again, if you would like the webinar slides or the video recording, please just drop your email into the Q&A and we'll know what that means and we'll get that sent your way. All right, Matt, Chelsea, definitely appreciate your time today. Great job on the webinar. I'm not seeing any other questions come through. So if you guys don't have anything else, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. All right. All right. Well, thanks to everyone for your time today on our webinar. Please tune in and register for our next webinar in 2 weeks. And we look forward to having each of you available in the future. Thanks again for your time. Hope you have a great rest of your day.